Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Blue Abroad Show here on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. It is Monday, the 2nd of September, 2024. It's finals football time, and I've got finals football quality people around. Lek Dog is back. Hello, mate.
Hey, mate. It's good to be back. Thanks for having me.
Timing is everything, they say. And I think having you here tonight as we go into our next final series is poetic.
I've got a lot of takes ready for today, Tez. So we'll have plenty to talk about. It's exciting stuff, and it's a bit poetic, isn't it? Speaking of me being here, that we're going up to Brisbane to do it all again. So it's all in the stars, mate. It's all in the stars.
Oh, be careful with that. It is somewhat written in the stars. Yeah. So, well, first off the bat, because you haven't been on for a while, I need to ask, do you know what a cannoli is?
Do I know what a cannoli is? Isn't it a cream-filled pastry type treat setup?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yes, I know what a cannoli is then.
Yeah. You'd be surprised.
Is that a quiz? Have I missed something?
No, I mean, we're proudly brought to you by Cannoleria. You would be surprised at how many people I've asked who come on for the first time since we announced the sponsorship and haven't quite been able to figure out what a cannoli is. But you've done well. Well done.
No, mate. I'm a well-travelled man now, so I've consumed my fair amount of dessert over the journey. Cannoli is up there in my list.
Well, speaking of being a well-travelled man, you did some really cool travelling this year. Where'd you go?
I did.
How was it? What's the rundown?
Oh, mate, it was bloody awesome. It was mostly a UK trip. We had a few friends scattered, internet friends and IRL friends scattered throughout Scotland, UK, and Scotland, England, and Wales. So we got to visit a bunch of them. But my mate, one of my very, very good mates, good Carlton family, the Zabos, got married in Lake Como. So we headed over to Italy and celebrated on the water and had a wonderful time. Got to meet a few, as I said, internet friends that I've done some somewhat sort of collabby stuff with over the journey. Got to meet them in real life, go to a bunch of the nerdy hobby stuff that was a core basis of the trip. Stayed in castles, and Cassie, my now fiance, we discovered the beauty of Wetherspoon, which is a chain of pubs in the UK where I was drinking pints of beer for about $2.30 Australian, and it was truly one of the greatest joys I had over there. Don't eat the food, but do drink the drinks.
$2.30 for a pint? What were you in 1980?
It was crazy. It was some special. I don't know. It wasn't a particularly high quality sort of beer, but at that point, it didn't matter. My friend J Mac, who was also a YouTuber, we caught up with him. He's Scottish, and we were just going to have a quiet one. We weren't going to do anything crazy. And then he took me to this place, and we were drinking whiskey here that had cost you $20 a glass for like $4 over there, and it was just great, Terry. It was just great.
Wow. And you said you had a now fiance?
I do, yes. Cassie and I got engaged. I had to trick her, so proposed just before we went overseas because I think she was expecting it to happen over there, and I needed to get one up. So we did that before we left and had a wonderful time. We actually met a bunch of her extended family in Liverpool and Wales, and it was just a really, really awesome time. I kept a travel diary every single day, took a Polaroid every day and a little memento. So I'm going to have those memories forever, and one day I might do something with them, but for now, they're just for us.
Man, that's beautiful. You got engaged. You had what sounds like the trip of a lifetime, a wedding in Lake Como, $2.30 pints, and the Blues are about to do the impossible.
They are, Terry. I've said this all week, and I'm saying we are. I've been saying this all week that we're the worst form team to ever play finals, and simultaneously, I believe that we're going to win the premiership. So haven't beaten a top 15 side since June. And yet, I just think we're going to win.
It's a real battle of logic and feeling, isn't it?
It is. It's hard to deny the feeling. It sort of feels... Last year, I think I've spoken to you a couple of times about this. Last year, the finals just broke me. Like, emotionally fractured my soul to the point where I essentially feel nothing at football. It's just a vehicle to spend time with my dad. But I feel like we've just been filling in the last 25 weeks until now. Like, this is where the season begins. This is where we were meant to be, and the rest of it was formality. Don't worry about how we got here, because we're here now.
Yeah. No, I've been battling that exact question all week. Firstly, I'm really happy we had a week off. I think everyone involved with the Carlton Football Club did well with the week off. But yeah, exactly how you said it. Logically speaking, I don't know how we win this game, but I just feel it in my bones that we're about to go on some kind of special run.
Yeah, I agree. It's an interesting one because, like, I'm a data and statistic driven person for the most part, but this one's pure vibes, and it's, we've got two I would say mentally questionable in terms of strength clubs playing this week in Brisbane and Carlton. We've both had our issues over the journey, and I just think they're going to be a little bit more mentally weak than we are. And I think that's going to be the difference. And I don't really know what the basis is for it. I mean, they're putting up articles, like weird articles on their website about how it's a joke that Harris Andrews wasn't in the All-Australian team. And they put that up on their own channels. Like, it feels like we're focusing on the wrong things if I'm a Brisbane fan. So, yeah, I just think it's going to be a repeat of round zero. Well, hopefully not an exact repeat, but same result.
Let's get into that. We'll start the show talking about All-Australian. We will circle back to the Brisbane Lions article last night. But just to recap, Jacob Wiedering gets his first blazer. Patrick Cripps gets his fourth. No Charlie Curnow, no Harry Mackay. What was your overall thought around All-Australian? And chat, what did you think about All-Australian night last week?
I mean, AA is always a bit of a... I don't know what it is. I think it'd be better. I think there would be no issues if they didn't put up the graphic in a 22 setup. If they just put up a list and said these were the best 22 players this year, I think it takes away pretty much all of the anger and stuff. But then if they do that, then you're never going to get a fullback or whatever. So it's a hard to resolve. I would just have two teams of 22. The award's not that old in the current setup. In the 91, I think it started. There's not that much history that changing it makes a massive difference. In terms of the selections for Carlton, I think anyone, and I saw a lot of this, that the Wiedering doesn't deserve to be their thing. It's a very strange thing. I just can't get my head around objectively. He's the best one-on-one defender in the comp, and if he played an intercepting role, he'd be the best interceptor in the comp. So he needed to be in there. Obviously, Cripper needed to be in there. And I fully, as soon as Charlie missed those last couple of weeks, I knew he wasn't going to make the All-Australian team. It's just was clearly not the story they wanted to tell this year. I wasn't upset about that. I think if Harry hadn't missed a couple of weeks at the end there, he probably should have made it. I think he had a very, very good year. But from a Carlton perspective, I'm not mad. I don't mind. I don't really care that Harris Andrews didn't make it and Luke Ryan did. Dacos on a wing. We know he doesn't play on the wing. Don't put him on the wing, but they're not picking a full team. I really struggle to get too upset about the All-Australian thing. And I think sometimes, like Max Gornin over Tristan Cherry, who deserved it more as in that starting ruck role? Probably Cherry. Did Rowan Marshall deserve to be in? Maybe. I don't know. I don't really care. They're shit clubs. If your player doesn't get in and you're a shit club, you can't really complain. Yeah. Like the fact that McGovern was in, two West Coast players are in, is interesting. I've ranted a bit there, and I've not really given you an answer, but it's
I
just
love it.
it's all a bit
No,
of a mess.
I'm with you. I think you either name a 22 or you create a list of 44 and you have a first team and a second team.
Yep.
Like, you haven't created that much hype by naming a 40-man squad and cutting it to 22, or maybe name a 46-man squad and have 22 and a sub. I don't know, but I just think the two West Coast players were interesting, given they were bottom sides. No hate on Waterman, but whatever. I think the main thing for me was I really did want to see Wiedering get his blazer, because if Charlie was snubbed somewhat, whatever. Wiedering has put in a shift for years. It would have been his fifth. This was his fifth squad in a row, I'm pretty sure.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Fifth squad. If he had a bad game against St Kilda, he wasn't making it. I'm telling you right now. But he didn't.
Yeah.
Thank God he had a good game.
Yeah.
And as a lot of people said on the internet, it felt like the team was picked halfway through the year. And I definitely think it's cognitive bias. No matter when they pick it, unless they vote on it each round, the whole panel voted and it's done kind of like a Brownlow, you're going to end up with, it's going to skew either to the back half of the year or the front half of the year. It's never going to be a proper representation of the best team. And as I don't know if you're a Bill Simmons listener when he talks about NBA, but when he talks about the all NBA teams, he just wants to know, or the MVP, it's like, who were the best players this year? And then they try and kind of, he wants it to be structured, but the NBA, they just kind of fit 5-5-5 into the first, second, all defensive teams and all that. Let's just do a list. It's going to cause way less stress if you have a list of 22 guys and then Nick Dacos isn't named on a wing because he only spent 30 minutes on the wing in the entire year. But then do they like it? Maybe they just, do you think, Terry, is there a bit of, we'll do some contentious selections to create some buzz and conversation? Is there a bit of that going into it?
I'd love to know the justification for two West Coast players in the team. Because, I remember when Wiedering in the last 5 years, the 4 years that he didn't make the team, I understood for the most part, we're not a final side, so you don't deserve to get in. Like, I remember Lear made it 1 year, a couple of years maybe. I think Darcy Moore's made it a couple of times in that time. Harris Andrews has been in the mix there. So I kind of understood. So when non-finalists have two All-Australians, it was just weird. Which then leads me to why I wanted to talk about this, because Brisbane released an article from their media team. The article was written by a gentleman named Peter Blucher for Lions Media, and it was titled "Unpacking the Harris Andrews Snub." He goes on, for those who haven't read it, he basically goes on to ask the question, why wasn't Harris Andrews in the team? He referenced the ladder position. He referenced the defensive rank of the Brisbane Lions in the league. He referenced how many times Brisbane conceded 100 points. He referenced intercept marks and where Andrews ranks compared to Wiedering, Ryan, and McGovern. Contested marks, 1%ers, spoils, one-on-one defensive contests. I don't know. I wanted to open that up. Like, what did you think of that? And the second part to that question is, if it was Carlton writing that article about Wiedering, say, last year, how would you have felt?
Oh, it's a good question. Right now, I mean, I don't know how I would have felt last year, but if he missed out and Carlton put that article up, I'd be pretty embarrassed, I think. I think the only thing worse they could have done is interview an ex, like get Stephen Silvani and interview him about why Wiedering didn't make it. It's strange. The last paragraph in this. So Andrews will move on from his non-selection and focus on playing his part in the finals. But it's not easy for parochial club supporters. In future, in the all-time club's record, perhaps it should read in the Andrew column as follows: All Australian selections 2, All Australian squad selections 4, dudded by the All Australian selectors 1, 2024. This is very strange, and it's like kind of it's it's not the sort of sass that AFL clubs usually put out on their official channels which sit on the AFL website. It's strange, and if I tell you what, if Carlton did it and then we went up and lost in Brisbane, you would have a fan cam of 7 hours of people complaining about that article, Terry. It's a very strange situation.
Well, that is where it kind of reminded me to take a moment. I mean, I think we can be critical of the club at the snap of a finger at times. I'm so grateful the club have never written a piece like it. Because I think if we were sitting here right now, and let's say Wiedering didn't get the blazer on, last week, and the club had put out that article about Wiedering not getting a blazer, I dare say all week we would be mindful that our focus is not about winning, it's about individual awards. And I don't know, I was just found it odd that a club would do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the reasoning behind it. I find it hard to believe the footy department would have enjoyed it. I've just done a word count on it, 730 words. It's probably bringing unwarranted attention, maybe because it's Brisbane. They sit in Queensland, not Victoria. Maybe they can get away with it. But yeah, it would, mate, if it was a Carlton article, it'd be on Damo's weekly article, sliding doors, and Kane Corns would have done 20 minutes on it on Friday, Volcanoes with Kano, or whatever the hell this show's called. I'm glad it's not us, and maybe it'll mean nothing, but it's essentially, just an officially sanctioned sook, and it's very weird to me. It's very, very weird to me.
And if there's one team you don't want to fire shots at, isn't it us?
Yeah, I mean, if I was an opposition team, I'd just be pretending we don't exist and letting us get into our own heads, not adding reasons for us to come up and try and perform.
So I thought that was very interesting. The other bit of news that came out and has come out over the last few weeks really is around strength and conditioning or high performance appointments. So we know Andrew Russell is going to be leaving at the end of the year. We now start seeing news around Darren Burgess leaving Adelaide at the end of the season and moving to Victoria. It all kind of starts to make sense why the announcement was made. Do you have any thoughts around Darren Burgess and this, ticking situation?
So one of my good friends, he goes by Baron Von Crow on Twitter.
That's a great name.
Yeah, he's a big Crows man. He's not very happy with his club at the moment. His comment to me was simply, to be fair, he did keep our injuries to a minimum, at least the soft tissue injuries. Most injuries we actually had were just impact injuries during games. So if he can fix that for them and he can come over and fix that for us, I think, what have we continually had? It's pretty much been soft tissue injuries, right? For the most part. So if that's his specialty and he can solve that, he's got an EPL background and he's clearly a well sought after sort of guy who's going to get paid a lot, then good on him. If it is in fact that the players we just have are injury prone, which I have my theories on, and he can't fix it, well, then we're going to be very quickly having the same conversations, I think, not we, you and me, but we, the footy collective, as we've had around Mr. Russell.
Well, I did some research around where he's been, and this is what it looks like. So 97 to 2000, he is at the Sydney Swans. 2001 to 2003, the Parramatta Power. 2004 to 2007, the Port Adelaide Power. They obviously won a flag there in 2004. 2007 to 2010, he was at Football Federation Australia. That was his move into the round ball. 2010 to 2012, he's at Liverpool under Brendan Rodgers, I believe, who was the coach at the time. Then he comes back to Port Adelaide 2012 to 2017. And I think from that time we remember Port 2013-14. They probably overachieved a bit and they had this running prowess that I remember distinctly. He then gets poached back to the Premier League, goes to Arsenal from 2017 to 2019. So that was Arsene Wenger and a little bit of Unai Emery, I believe. Then he's at Melbourne from 2019 to 2021, where they win a flag in that time. Then he becomes a consultant at FIF Pro. Then he becomes a director at Elite Performance Partners. He then goes part-time to Western United in the A-League as the head of high performance. And then he has been the high performance manager at the Crows since. So on the one hand, I'm like, yep, great international experience. He's actually the one that's got the big name, the big brand. He's the only one that I know of personally, if I'm honest, in terms of who would be a better replacement for Andrew Russell that's out there. Devil's advocate says to me, it's a big name. This is classic. This is what happened with Russell. I don't know. Let's just see. Just if someone can come and stop these soft tissue injuries, we're great.
That's your first goal, isn't it? We talked about Russell. I know a lot of platforms talked about him being, can you get Charlie back on the park and all those guys? And he got Charlie back on, and a few of them didn't work out. But I would say cards were probably stacked against him anyway. Burgess, if he does come across, hey, you just gotta stop our guys doing hammies and calves and redoing them. And that's your number one job. Just do that. And if he's been trusted to look after guys, and I was just trying to look up, the the highest paid players in the EPL, because I don't know it off the top of my head, but there's blokes getting paid weekly wages in the EPL that are more than like the highest paid player at our football club gets in a year. So if you can go overseas and get trusted with that sort of asset and come back, you must have some sort of skill. So hopefully he can come over and hopefully he can fix all that. It's also about application. I don't think all of the injuries that our players have had are because Russell did something wrong. I don't know. Are they all prepared? Are they all putting in 100% where they should? You've talked about this a lot, Terry. It's, there's a whole range of things outside of just fixing soft tissue injuries.
Yeah, I think we're at a point now with this club where it's collective responsibility. It's a little bit of everyone's fault. It's a bit of diligence outside of the club. I mean, these are professional athletes. Ultimately, the high performance guy that comes in will set a program for them, I would have thought, and monitor and track their loads and do those sorts of things. But he's not going home with them after training, and he's not going out with them on Saturday night when they make their choices about what they want to do. So, yeah, I mean, that's not to remove and absolve accountability, but it's just
no.
There's a lot of pieces to the puzzle of staying fit and being diligent and being prepared to play at the highest level every week.
Yeah, and you're not going to have better facilities to do it in an AFL environment than what we are offering Mr. Burgess if he is coming across. I'm just going to keep saying if he is coming across because until I see a signed contract. But if he can do it in Port and he can do it in Melbourne or Parramatta and wherever he's been, he's got a pretty good chance of doing it here. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm not unhappy with it. And to be honest, he's probably the only other S&C person I could actually name in the AFL. So
yeah, same. Well, that one is one that we'll keep talking about over the coming weeks and months, I guess. But it was a topic throughout the week. I now want to get back to Carlton. And as we inch closer to previewing Saturday, I want to ask you a question. And I want to ask the chat a question that I'm going to get your answers up on screen. Guys, having seen 24 rounds of football, what did the regular season tell you about Carlton going into finals? It's a big, it's yeah, and you can be as short or as long as an answer as you like. But what do you know about this team now after 24 rounds?
I think I know what I thought I knew when we went on the run last year. And that is when we are playing the players best suited to the positions that they play in, we are a much better outfit. So when your second tier players are coming through to fill holes, they're doing that job very well, rather than moving players around the park to fill roles they're probably not suited to. And I still think our best path to victory is not by naming our 23 most talented players, but naming our best key defender in the key defender spot, our best halfbacks in the halfback, our best wings on the wing. I think when we do that, we're very tough to beat. And as I alluded to earlier, I think it's also confirmed that mentally we are not a very mature team across the board. When it's going well, it's going very well. And when it's going badly, it's going very badly. So I think the first... It's sort of the same as the Brisbane game last year. I think we'll know in the first quarter how the game's going to pan out. It might be the first 5 minutes. We might know how the game's going to pan out. Having said all that, I'll probably never count us out. I'll probably still, we can be 10 goals down at halftime, and I'll still think in my heart, if they can lock in and connect to whatever it is that they did last year and in parts of this year, we're never going to be out of a game.
I like that. So what did I learn? I learned that we are still inconsistent. We don't have an ability to advance the game plan. It needs to be simple. And when it's simple and they lock into the simplicity of football, they play their best football. I learned that when the external is in full support of them and giving them the validation, our standards can slip. When they are heavily scrutinized and doubted, they play with this connection. I know less about this team than what I did before opening round, if I'm honest. Having said that, I do believe that there is a spirit about them that fluctuates sometimes. There's something there. And fortunately or unfortunately, you only get it for about 4 to 5 weeks before it falls away or it dips a little bit. So having said that, what a perfect time to find it for 4 weeks.
Well, we haven't had it in a little while, so it's if it starts now, it's going to be a very good run home. We're an enigma, mate. Because I'm with you in that all the things I said, what I've learned this year, were things that I think we knew last year. I think it was reaffirmations of things that happened last year. I don't think anything new happened. Like, I don't think anything, like we won. Did we win the same amount of games? We just won them, and we won them in chunks, like just in different parts of the season. It reminds me a few years ago, maybe Vossi's first year, we had that run where we would get like 5, 6, 7 goals up in the first quarter or the first half, and then just try and hold on for the rest of the way. That's kind of what our whole season was. We got our wins pretty early, and then we were just like we got through that tough patch with probably more wins than we expected to have, and then we just kind of held on. And I still think we play like that a little bit. Like, we can never we either need to get really far ahead and then hope the opposition doesn't run over the top of us, or get really far behind and go, right, finally we can start playing so we can run over the top of the opposition. I would just love to kick like, I don't know, 3 or 4 goals every quarter, and that's just how we played football. I would love that. I don't think we're ever going to get that with this football team.
Have you watched opening round lately?
No, I haven't.
You know what? I actually think I've watched it twice this week. I actually think opening round kind of sums us up.
Yep.
Because the 46-point deficit was erased in 25 minutes of football. And then the fourth quarter was a back and forth. Like, it wasn't like we were coming back from this big deficit, halfway through the fourth. Like, it was done in 20 minutes of football. how they are wired mentally is one of the most complex things. And I don't know if it's this playing group. I don't know if it's the club and the environment in which they operate. I don't know what it is, but it's super complex. And for some reason, only when it is simplified can they do they thrive.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I might be saying the wrong thing here because I don't have ADHD, but it feels a bit ADHD. It's like super hyper focused for a period of time, and then it's just like lost interest and can't focus, can't hit a kick, dropping easy marks, missing handballs. We're in the wrong spot. But for that hyper focused period, we're unstoppable. And I would prefer to probably win differently, but if that's how we have to win, that's how we have to win. I think it is. I think it's a maturity thing. I think they're very. It's kind of emotional, but you don't see them all sort of cracking the sads and being. But they're emotional and they get very excited. They get very excited mid-game, and like a little dog, you can be really excited, and it can be a disaster, or you could be really excited and it can lead to great things. And we seem to do both almost every single week. And you just got to hope that the overexcited that leads to good happens a little bit more than the other one. So I don't know if you can coach that. It feels like it's partially from the way this team was built, which was in the doldrums for the most part, the core of this team, and then a lot of imports from other clubs who have had to sort of jigsaw their way into this weird sort of culture. I would love to see what behind the scenes, how they talk during the week and what they focus on, and then how that aligns to other clubs. Because I'm telling you, we are an enigma, and we would be very different to say a Hawthorn this year, for instance.
Yeah. One thing I will give them credit for, I'll give them credit for a lot of things, but one thing in particular, I think where they have been consistent is they have kept this positive attitude. And I know at times, fans, we can sometimes want to see them get a little bit more angry or seem a little bit more desperate, but they have definitely been consistent with how they remain steadfast in their positive outlook on what's to come. And I do think that's important. I think we would be way worse if they were as volatile emotionally as what fans can be. Ultimately, yes. We are fans for a reason because nothing's in our control. And they've got a little bit more control of what they can do on the field with their preparation. But ultimately, once that ball's bounced, I mean, they've just got to, we hate to say it, but like they do have to just stick to what they are processifying in there. But I do, yeah.
I was just going to say, I think that's highlighted with All-Australian Jacob Wiedering, who I would consider for the most part pretty calm and composed, but it's clearly his job, if we're under pressure, to kick the ball and try and kick it out of bounds 50 metres away. And a lot of the time that doesn't work and we get very frustrated, but he's not doing that because he wants to do it necessarily. He's doing it because that's what he's being told to do. So we get very emotional. They've got a job to do. Some of them won't be that emotional about it. Some of them will look at it as a job. We're far more passionate about it than some of the players would be. The other thing is, if we just direct our attention and our energy to our players, they also have to deal with opposition supporters and the opposition who are literally designing their entire week around making us unhappy. So they've got a lot more to contend with than us. So they have to stick to the structures and those basic building blocks. And if they're the wrong building blocks, then you don't win a premiership. So let's hope they're the right ones.
Yes. I did see a tweet that was made just as we went live. It was around some updates on some players from training today. 1 minute.
I thought you were going to talk about my tweet, which if you follow me, jump on my Twitter, everyone, at Lekdog, LEKDOG. I made a Simpsons meme about Carlton playing finals, and I think it's my best work.
You know what? How about we just do this? How about we share the screen and get it up?
I don't know if it's that good, but I appreciate it. Bit of a plug.
Lekdog. Lekdoggity. Okay.
It's yeah, it should be the top tweet there or the second top tweet. Does this yeah. Well, this is the tweet.
Take this top 8 finish. Do you want to read it out?
All right. Take this top 8 finish, but beware, it comes with a terrible curse. Oh, that's bad. But you get to play finals. That's good. Carlton haven't beaten the top 15 side since June. That's bad. Carlton have the most players on their list with finals experience in the top 8. That's good. Carlton's best finals goal kicker is Orazio Fantasia. That's bad. Can I go now? This is it's just, I mean, it's just pure shit posting, but they are all facts. They are all facts. Please retweet.
Carlton have the most players on their list with finals experience in the top 8.
That was an article the AFL shared today. We don't have the most games. We have the most individual players in the top 8 who have played finals before. I think it's 29. Prior to last year, it was like 6 or whatever it was.
How did that happen?
Well, we played finals last year and had to rotate through quite a few. But I couldn't believe it. Our games experience is so low. And the fact that Orazio Fantasia is obviously hasn't done it for Carlton, but is of the players on our list is our highest goal kicker in finals. It's also pretty crazy.
Well, two things. One, open training on Saturday. From what I saw on Saturday, I thought Charlie, Harry, McGovern, Williams for sure will play. The way Doc was training and the body language in which he was training with, I thought, wow, they're actually going to pick him. I didn't think much of DeConing because I didn't see him. I didn't see Chera. I didn't see Martin. Mitch Cleary tweeted 28 minutes ago, Charlie Curnow and Mitch McGovern were part of the rehab group at Carlton today. Thursday is D-Day if they are to face Brisbane. DeConing rucked against Mark Pittonet in promising signs post-foot surgery. Sam Doherty was stationed on a wing in match simulation. So, what does your gut tell you that is going to happen?
I think they will probably play them all. I think they'll play Gov, Charlie, Harry, Tom DeConning, Doherty, and Williams. I think they will play them. And I'm really scared of what might happen if that's the case. It's a tough one, right? Because I love Sam Doherty. Got a signed jumper of his, one of my favourite players of all time. Loved him when he was at Brisbane. Loved him when he came to Carlton. In a do or die game, is his heart and soul more important than the fact that he hasn't played in 25 weeks? I personally don't think it is. I wouldn't play him. And there's a few reasons for that. It's hard because I love Doc and I don't want to shit talk him at all. But like at the back end of the last year and the start of this year, his football skills weren't at the peak of their power, but he was leading through, determination and being hard at it. And I just think it's hard to just switch that on after such a gap. But also he's been through so much. I think they'll play him, and I'm not sure that I would.
So the pros and cons. The cons are pretty obvious around, is he really ready? Brisbane, slippery conditions in the evening, etc. For me, it's got a bit of the vibe about it. So again, we're talking around logic and feeling. And is finals the time where you tap into feeling and magic and la-las a little bit? Like is this the time to just go for it?
Yeah, I guess. Well, you got to apply that to every player who might come back. Because if it's time to go for it, if you really think the only way we can win is all 6 of these guys, 5 or 6 of these guys have to come into the team, then you have to put them in. But if you do think you can beat Brisbane, throwing everyone in, and it's sort of what happened. Remember last year we went up, we were very sore. We threw everything into was it the Sydney game before the Brisbane game, or was it the Melbourne game before the Brisbane game? Whichever one it was. We had a few sore bodies. They nursed through. Blake Acres was cooked. We got him through. We got up. Spirit and energy got us into that game. We won it. Then we went up to Brisbane and the boys looked really sore. So I guess the question is, if you think you can beat Brisbane, if the coaches think they can beat Brisbane without having to bring back all 6 of these players, then they shouldn't bring back all 6 players. Is Doherty better on a wing is Doherty with 25 weeks off on a wing better than Jackson Binns in his 3rd game of AFL footy? Probably, but I'd also argue just play Blake Acres and Hollands on the wing. And then you got Williams, who we know. The fear for me is you take up 6 underdone guys or 6 injured guys, and 2 of them go down in the first quarter. How do you recover? It's very difficult to.
I feel like Doc is just as much of a risk of doing a knee in the preseason coming up than what he is in this game. Once you do your first ACL, your chance of doing it again increases every time you do it.
Yeah.
That's just a fact. It's an unfortunate fact. I'd like to say Doc, as the leader of the club, would have the responsibility of making that call and knowing within himself whether or not he was putting the team at risk and whether or not he felt like he could contribute. And I don't think he would put his hand up. I believe he would be responsible enough to make that call for the short term, for the long term. I could be wrong, but I'd like
I think Doherty's going to play. Just for the record, I think Doherty is going to play. I think he's going to say he wants to play. I think Fossey's going to support him, and Cripper's going to support him. I think he's going to play. My worry comes from absolutely have a punt, put him up there and let him play. All right. Well, are we also going to give Williams a run? Are we also going to give Gov a run? Are we also going to give Charlie and Harry a run? Are we also going to give TDK a run? If the answer is yes to all of them, I think we're probably. You can only have one sub. It's tough. It's really tough because I do think we could beat Brisbane even if we don't bring back all 6 of them. Again, that's vibes more than logic.
Yeah. Look, there's a few things that I saw from opening round to this game, and I don't even know if it bears any weight. But I mean, you didn't have Sam Walsh, you didn't have Jacob Wiedering. I felt, they're not going to have Link McCarthy, Kadane Coleman. I felt that Tom de Koning was a big part of why we were able to get back in that game. His follow-up efforts are there. And okay, so how's this for a question? Let's just say, for argument's sake, de Koning plays. Does he play and replace Pito on his own and just do the whole game on his own? Or do you mitigate the risk by allowing him some rest throughout the game and having the 2 rucks?
It's a really, really hard question. So if you bring him in and you're splitting the ruck time, because I'm assuming Omac will play and he's always pretty physical sort of bloke. If you bring him in to support Pito, you've got the 2 talls. Presumably you bring in Harry and Charlie. There's your 4 talls. Pito sits on the bench for 50% of the game. Harry has been out with injury. You put him in a pinch in and ruck. I don't think that's too much of an issue. I think you just take that gamble. It's a very tall side. And then all year, wasn't that what everyone was complaining about? I'm a 2 ruck man myself. But I don't know how they're going to balance it. And then the flip side is McGovern comes in. Your other player you could consider a ruck support in Lewis Young probably comes out as well, or Kemp comes out. There's so many moving parts. We've got like 4 integral pieces to the puzzle to come back into this side, and it's going to be a tough balance no matter what. What would you do? Do you bring TDK in, no support, ditch Pito, and I don't know, he probably gets upset and demands a trade in the offseason or something? How do you pass that?
My best guess is you would play both the rucks. to help. I think De Koning's less likely. I'm guessing that De Koning is less likely than what he is likely to play. But the idea of him having Pito there would really help him because we wouldn't be, putting 4 quarters of football into him and as the sole ruck. And, if he goes down, then, we don't want to have Harry going to centre bounces and things like that. What would I do? I think I would play both of them. I also think Lewis Young has to play on Hipwood.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So it's probably, if you're assuming the other two tools come in, it's probably Kemp out, backline stays primarily the same.
Yeah.
Cowan goes back, if he stays in the team, to being the sort of lockdowny, smaller player. I'm glad I'm not making the decisions, although we will be making the decisions on Pommy's channel on Wednesday, but I'm glad I don't have to make the real decision. It's really tough. Pommy just looking in the chat saying it's finals, you just got to throw your best team out there, not risk it. So he's saying TDK has to play.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just too conservative with my taking in 5 injured players, or 6 guys coming off injuries, knowing every single player we've bought back this year has then re-injured themselves in that game.
Well, the other different look that we'll get, I mean, Fogarty was instrumental in opening round. He won't play. Cottrell won't play. Owies won't play. Owies, I'm not as worried about as much because I think Williams can come and play forward and, be the goal kicking. Jesse, we really need Jesse to, be Jesse and find Jesse again. Dirds, I don't know if he'll come up, but I'm going to assume he's going to be in to maybe play that Fogarty role.
Yeah.
And then
Orazio, Orazio came in last week as well. I imagine one of those smalls is going to end up being the sub, maybe?
Probably. Kemp as a forward with Harry and Charlie? Do we just try it for the first time?
If you're going with run ruck, you probably can. I don't know if you can do it all. Or do you just go all tall? But this is what I was saying before, Terry,
just
about
play the Monstars, mate.
Yeah. But this is what I was saying about picking our most 23 talented players versus the best players in the position. I don't think we've got that balance right this year. I think Kemp would probably look really good next to Harry and Charlie. But then Matt Kennedy probably can play that role if Harry and Charlie are there. And we've got too many players. We've got too many players that we want in this team.
Yes.
Which is strange, given last week we were barely able to field a AFL level team.
It beggars belief because you need connection and, you need to be linked together and connected as a group and you need the synergy. But we're also talking about 8 changes.
Yeah, I know. And it's guys like Lord and Binns and these guys who have stood up and sort of taken on the role. And Moya, I don't think he's done anything to warrant being dropped, but he probably won't be in the team. So, and I think he's only been in burst, but been one of our most dangerous targets in the games he's played. So these guys who have probably actually earned their way in, despite their being through injury, are going to lose their spot. And then it's going to feel really bad if we don't come up. But then on the flip side, just you can't not play Harry and Charlie if they're available. So it's going to be a very interesting Wednesday for you, mate, or Tuesday or whatever day the teams come out. Thursday.
Maz, thank you very much for gifting 5 memberships. Oh, Lek Dog, speaking of Thursday, do you know what we're doing on Thursday?
What are you doing on Thursday?
We're giving away this. Do you know what this is?
It looks like a signed Charlie Curnow Guernsey.
It is a signed Charlie Curnow Guernsey player edition. I don't know if you can see that there.
Wowee. That's a pretty good prize.
It's got the little, where they put the GPS in?
Yeah.
In there?
So the lucky winner could put their own GPS in there and track their Ks in their heat map.
Also giving away this bad boy, a Charlie Curnow candle.
That's amazing. Have I told you the day my dad gifted me a couple of weeks ago a Charlie Curnow signed Guernsey because I was feeling pretty sorry for myself, was the day that he got injured and didn't kick his first goal in the first game in 60 games or whatever it was. And so I think that Guernsey's cursed and it's now in the cupboard. But that one you're giving away looks far less cursed than the one
I'm
I
glad you took the bad one away, you know?
Yeah. That's an
Also,
awesome prize.
it is an awesome prize. Very big thank you to Howard from Berwick Toyota, who works with Charlie in the off season. And yeah, he gifted it to the channel. And so tickets are available. The link is pinned to the top of the live chat. They're $5. I've got the thumbnail ready to go for this week. Thanks to Luke Barton from LB Graphics. Charlie's the theme. Like, it's just, and I like, you know what I like about like Charlie celebrating and Andrews is kind of like struggling. Like, it's just, it all fits.
Every little bit helps. It has to. It has
What
to.
is your biggest reach for this week? Like, what's your biggest reach of you're just reaching for belief?
I don't even know that I'm reaching. I just, in my soul, I just think we're going to win. I don't have any, I'm not nervous. I'm not stressing about it. I just think they're going to go up to there and win. I think someone said, I think it might have been the Prendercast boys said, we've never won an interstate final. This team's very good at breaking those hoodoos and curses. They've done the Adelaide thing. They've done the finals thing. So I think it's time to break that hoodoo. Let's do it. I don't know that I'm not reaching. I believe.
I'm going to be dead honest, right? Like, I mean, dead honest. In my head, in my brain, nothing tells me that we are going to win this game. But I'm going just in case we do. Like,
yeah. Although, no, you've broken your interstate curse, haven't you? You've now been to a win.
Yeah, I broke the curse in when we beat the Gold Coast Suns last year late.
Yeah. So nothing to even stress about, mate. Like, I'm with you. Like, there's no logical reason to why we should win. But sometimes footy ain't logical. So
this is the reach. This is my reach, right? Oh. We're 8th. We're the biggest outsider. Everyone's given up on us. Every single team in the 8, bar Carlton, have rediscovered themselves after the season slapping them around. Now, we, for whatever reason, haven't rediscovered ourselves yet. I'm not counting the last 2 weeks, okay, maybe a bit of spirit, but I mean, Brisbane have found themselves for a while. Let's just go through it. Sydney, they've rediscovered themselves.
Yeah, they went to shit and came back.
Geelong started hot, went to shit, rediscovered themselves. The Giants, probably very similar to Geelong. Started well, mid-patch, rediscovered themselves at quarter time against the Blues. The Doggies were going to sack their coach, so were Port.
Yes.
Fans were booing them off the ground. Hawthorn were 0-5.
Yeah.
So, and knowing these boys and this team as well, it's when everyone's doubting them that they play their best football. Charlie being rested and springy and all-Australian snub. Like the last time Charlie played with a chip on his shoulder was when he missed 2.5 years and everyone said, oh, you'll never be the same as what you were pre-injury. Harry
He's got
Fresh.
3 weeks of goals to kick, mate. 3 weeks worth of goals to kick.
Yeah. And so all of these things point to a magical night. And then if we beat the Lions on Saturday night, think about the vibes. Everything just like activates.
It does change very quickly. I don't think it's right for us to look for our season to end this week. I don't think that's how it's meant to go. And I don't want to be too like, oh, it's meant to do this, meant to do that. But it would feel strange for us to start off really strong, turn bad, injuries, scrape into finals. It can't end with scrape into finals. That's not how this story ends. It ends with us breaking, if not winning the flag, breaking a hoodoo, and the next hoodoo in front of us is winning interstate in the final. So at the very least, we have to do that. I said at the start of the year, anything less than finishing 6th on the ladder is a failure. We can't lose this week because that would be a failure.
The Lions.
I don't think we're failures.
They're posting articles, throwing shade at poor Jacob Wiedering. Like they're showing weakness. I think tomorrow night's going to be where a lot of the nerves maybe kick in. We're going to get the injury update. We're going to see who's available. I'm assuming they're just going to label all of them as a test.
Yes. They'll probably name them all on field as well in the wrong position, and just to mess with us. Debbie's comment here is great. On 9 News, they said if Doc plays on Saturday, he'll have played 3 matches in a row against the same team on the same ground, which is... Tell me that that's not supposed to happen.
Well, they say things are meant to come in threes.
Sam Doherty. He's playing. He'll probably kick the... maybe replicate the Richmond goal. He's been involved in all of our big moments over the last few years in one way or another. So the comeback game, kicks the big goal against Richmond. He's in that chain of play last year in the dying seconds of the Melbourne game. It makes sense for him to be involved in a big way in Brisbane. See, now I'm being talked around. Fantastic. Let's play him.
You also just know that it's going to be a tight contest. Also, we've lost games we've been dealt some really harsh lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Last second stoppages, Higgins, Berry, Dacos, kick after the siren, McGovern. Well, Kemp wasn't really after the siren, but close to the end of the game. We've been kicked around a bit as well, and also Carlton winning the flag the day it happens. Hopefully, inshallah, one day. It's not really going to come in a season where we start 11-4 and just steamroll the comp, is it? That doesn't make sense.
No, that's not how we operate. That's how we win the second or third flag, but in a row. But it's not how we win the first one. The first one needs to be hard fought and stressful. I do hope that they've learned a bit. We haven't really been blown out in many games this year. Like the losses probably hurt because they're also the win is within reach for most of them. I think that's probably what hurts the most. So I think no matter what happens, it'll be I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be a really tight game, and it's probably going to come down to the wire again. And this is just how maths works. But the most common winning margin in AFL history is 1 point, and that's because 1 point's the smallest amount you can win by. But it just happens a hell of a lot more than any other result. So 1 point. It's probably what it's going to be.
Jeez. Wow. We're going to Brisbane. And then we're going to Sydney. Oh, you know what? You need to do one of these.
Are we ladder predictoring?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to pretend like I don't sit on ladder predictor all day, every day.
I want to get what you think is going to happen. I want to get your version of events.
All right.
By the way, I love that there's a Thursday night game this week.
Yes. I'll tell you what, I hate Thursday night footy when Carlton's playing. I love Thursday night footy when any other team's playing.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like opening round and wildcard round won't happen next year, and that's good because 25 or 26 weeks is too long before final starts. Anyway, let's do this ladder. Sydney win, Carlton win. I think the Bulldogs win. And for some reason, I think Port Adelaide wins.
Okay.
So where does that send us up to GWS? I mean, it's going to be rude if I don't just tip us in everyone. So we play GWS.
I need to know if this happens. I've been reading and listening to people. Apparently, it won't be at Giant Stadium.
Because it's too SCG, small. Will it?
Is that right?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't see why it wouldn't be at Giant Stadium. It's their home game. They earned the right. I'm not sure. Does anyone in the chat know what would happen?
Don't know. I know Dwayne Russell was saying they can't play there, so it doesn't seat. It only seats 20,000 or whatever it was. I mean, revenge game for us. I feel like GWS a little bit of a rival to us in a way. We've sort of come up in the same way over the last few years. We get the job done there because we've already broken the interstate win voodoo. So the voodoo's
Yeah.
not the right word, but hoodoo. Geelong. That'd be at the G, right?
That would be at the G.
Yeah, Geelong win it at the G. Annoyingly, we hate that. Oh, would you look at this? I mean, if you want my realistic answer, because we're going to end up in the same place I have been the last couple of times I've done this, I think it's probably Sydney Port. But for the sake of this, we could tip Carlton if you want.
I understand. Who would win that?
I just got a vibe about Port this year. This finals runs. I think it's probably their last. I don't know if it's their last chance, but I think this is their best chance.
From sacking Ken to winning a flag.
And that's kind of why I think partially to be good. I also love Mitch Georgiades. I know he seems to towel us up every time. Less reliant on Charlie Dixon. They've got a good thing going there. And I actually think weirdly Dan Houston out actually might give them even more drive to succeed.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that won't be the first. Sorry. I'm sure that won't be the last time that predictor gets done this week on this channel. So thanks for that, mate.
That's all right.
Thanks for being here. It's good to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight. Glad to have you back. Glad to have you back for a finals preview. What is your final prediction for Saturday, by the way? Like, how does the game play out?
I think I've talked myself into Carlton by a point, and and I don't know if we start strong and hold on, or we start behind and go on a run. It does feel like an opportunity for a clutch Sam Doherty moment, but is he going to save the game or is he going to win the game? That's my only question.
It's too much magic for it to be like a Sam Doherty game-winning goal, lines up, set shot, overcomes everything, went down by 4. He puts us up by 2. We win that game.
I think, give me some more time through the week to think about like the actual numbers and stuff. But my gut feel is going to be a really tight contest. I think there'll be runs of goals from both teams. I think I actually would almost prefer Brisbane start off with a couple of early goals and put us sort of behind the 8 ball. So we have to really try. And what I didn't love about the St Kilda game was as soon as we went into that defensive kicking backwards mode, I think me and 30,000 other people there probably knew we were going to lose. I want to be the attackers. So, yeah.
Love it. All right, ladies and gents, that's us for this evening. Left Dog, thanks for being here. If you want a little bit more content, I reckon Pommy's got you covered. He's going live on his channel now, doing some fan cams and things like that. So go and give him some love, and we'll see you tomorrow for the preview. Go Blues.